Hey guys, welcome back to Easeldoesitstudio. So today we are going to paint some Christmas balls, hand paint them. So I'm gonna do a couple of different designs on how I paint them. And that way, you know, you have some options. So I have the bigger round balls, and then I have the smaller ones. So that's the difference in size. So I only could find one that wasn't damaged because I buy them by the box because I do paint parties. So we're going to do one big one, probably one small one. And then I have one of these like oval ones. These are a little bit easier if you are just starting, you know, to paint ornaments. But either way, they're really easy. So, and I have this thing that my husband made. I have dowels and I put tape on the end. So I have something to hold them because that's the hardest thing. But you got to remember when you're painting an ornament, you have to make sure you're painting it with the stick up because this is how it's going to hang on the tree. So if you hold it like this, your ornaments are going to be upside down. So I have the smaller dowels for the smaller ones. And then I have a little bit thicker dowels for the bigger balls. So I'll start with the bigger one. And I just pulled out some white, yellow, two different reds, a light red and a dark red, a black, a green, a blue, and a brown. So actually, I'm going to start with one of the smaller ones because I want to show you like how simple it can really be. And all right, so when that happens, you have to compromise and find something else to hold your ball. So I'm just using the end of a paintbrush. So this one, I'm not going to color the whole ball. So this one here is fairly simple, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to make like tree branches around the ball. And then I'm going to, you know, color it in. And we're going to put some berries and some pine cones. Very simple, very, very easy, guys. And we will be using some glitter. So I do have some glitter and some Mod Podge out on the side here. But we'll do that a little bit later. So I have just got to make sure that I am in frame. And I want to zoom you in. Oh, hang on here. A little bit so that you can see, you know, the whole process. So I am going to take a little bit of brown on my brush, and my paints are off to the side. I don't have enough room to get everything into view. So I apologize for that, but all right. So you want to kind of try to keep it somewhat in the center, but it doesn't matter because if you go off, you can always make it a branch. So I am just going to, I'm going to make a branch going that way. And it's going to kind of look like crud until I get some color going here. So I'm using the brown just to, you know, kind of give me that where I kind of want some branches. And it's going to change once we start putting our other stuff on it and our quills to our little branch things. So this isn't like, you know, a traditional branch. It's almost like, I don't know, kind of like pine boughs or something like that. Now, I haven't done these. This is the first one that I have done this year. So I'm going to be a little rusty. I always am when I start doing something I haven't done in a while. Let's see. So I'm going to use an angled brush. And I'm going to pick up some green. And we're going to start, I'm going to try this. I don't know if this is going to be thin enough. So let me, and I'm basically using the tip. And I already can tell I'm not going to like that one. So I try to use a little bit smaller brushes when I'm doing ornaments. But sometimes the smaller ones don't quite work out as well. So I'll go with this one here. We'll try this one. So I'm just using the tip. See how I have it? There's not a lot of paint. And let me just move this over here. So basically, I get the paint on and then I tap it so that it's not a ton and it's on the tips. And then, like with this ball, I can probably do it holding it in my hand. So I'm just going to, we're just going to kind of make little, and we're going to go right over the brown because the brown is just there to give us kind of like a guide as, you know, to where our little branch things are going to be. And they don't have to all go the same way. In fact, if you do them in different directions, it looks more natural. And this is just the first layer. We're gonna, and now I'm gonna actually mix a little bit of black in and darken this up a little bit more because it's just really, it's just a smidge too light. And don't be afraid to go over your branches. And you can actually just even tap like that. Like I'm just kind of tapping. And then once we start getting our other things on the top of these, they'll start coming together. Now I should have painted one before I started, so I kind of, you know, remember what I'm doing. But, you know, what would be the fun in that? Because if you guys are trying this for the first time, I want you to see that it's really, really easy, guys. You know, even if you have to go outside and pick up like a little branch or something that you can bring in to kind of see that nothing is even. You just want this first layer to kind of be, you know, a little bit darker, because that's going to give us that base underneath. Now here I put some in and I didn't have a stick, and it's totally fine to do that too, because you don't need to always have something to go by. All right, so it's just, you know, giving us a little tiny bit of a roadmap. And then by the time we get around to the other side, that first side will pretty much be dry. All right, so we are back now to where we started, and this is pretty much dry. So I'm just gonna start picking up a little bit of yellow on my brush, and we're gonna start giving this a little bit more, just kind of a little bit of, and again, don't cover all of the darkness. And I didn't wash my brush. I'm just, because I want them to go in different directions. And I went a little too heavy on my first color. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that black, and then I'm gonna go over it with yellow, because black and yellow will make a pretty green. But we're also gonna put a little bit of snow on these too here. So I'm trying to make sure I'm staying under camera for you guys here. I'm just kind of, you know, tapping some differences, going over some of the other areas. And I'm picking up black and yellow at the same time. All right, and then so then you kind of go around and you look at your, you know, your ball, and if there's a spot that you don't like, then that's where, or if you filled it in too much, that's where we're gonna add our pine cones. So I'm gonna clean my brush off, and I'm gonna pick up a filbert brush. And for this, I'm gonna use a little bit of black and a little bit of brown. So we're gonna make a really dark brown for the first layer. And these are really easy too because the brush is gonna do the work for you. All right, so let me find an area that's somewhat dry right in here. So I got it sideways like this, and you're just gonna tap sideways, tap sideways, tap sideways, like that. Then I'm gonna pick up a little bit of white, and we're just tapping. And now we have a little pine cone. All right, I'm gonna make the next one just brown, just to kind of, so you can see the difference. And the harder you press, the bigger your little spots will be. So I'm gonna wipe my brush on the side. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of white, and we're gonna tap, 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 tap in the middle, just like that. So now we have a couple pine cones. So now I want a pine cone coming down. So I'm just gonna pick up some more of the darker brown. And you can actually even turn your ball at this point. And let's see, we're gonna put one right in here. So, and this has some of the brown and the white, which is fine. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more brown because the next layer won't show up as much. And if you use a hair dryer, put it on the cool setting. It will melt your balls. Trust me. One of my classes, we had some major melted balls. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with a little bit more white. So this one just will kind of look more like it has a little bit more snow on it. So we have 3 there. Let's see. Let's put one in here. So I'm gonna go back to just the dark brown. I like that look better. And we're just gonna kind of run it in the middle here. I need a little bit more of that darker. There we go. I'm just tap. And you can do the outside and then fill in the inside if you want to. That makes it a little bit easier. So like right now, you can barely see it. But as soon as I grab just a little bit of white paint and we tap, that pine cone stands out. All right, so I think that's enough pine cones. So I'm gonna brush this off, and we are gonna take a small liner brush, and we're gonna take a little bit of the red. I don't know if you can see down here in this corner, and like a little dab of black in there. So it's a really dark red. And we're just gonna put in a cluster of berries. And then I'm gonna pick up the light red and we'll put the brighter red on top. So now those berries are gonna pop out. And then we're gonna repeat the process. So you could go and do all your dark red color and then come back and do the lighter color over it if you want. It's totally up to you as to how you do this. I'm just gonna put like 3 there and then just pick up the red, that brighter red. Go back in with the dark. Move this because I have a feeling I keep going out of frame. So you're just gonna, you know, and you can do them in clusters of 3 because, you know, that's kind of how holly berries are. But it's, you know, it's however many you want to put. All right, so now we have got those. Let me see if I can find a smaller angled brush. I had a few new brushes, but I don't think I have. See if I can. Guess we'll try one of these. All right, so I'm just gonna. I went into my blue just a little bit because I want the blue, the white to be like a bluey hue. Well, all right, I guess we're gonna get rid of that brush and try this one. And then I'm just going to, now making like little, I'm just pulling with the tip. And I'm just going in different, different directions. So it gives another layer. Now you could also even do this with the green. So I just picked up some of the green and white. Let's see if that's going to look any better. Yeah. So just play around with, you know, the colors. Like sometimes I will do these in blue and then kind of go over them with the white, which you'll see when I do the next ornament. So basically, you're just trying to get a little variation of color. Now here, I'm gonna actually bring some of these over that pine cone that we put. And kind of bringing it like underneath the berries. You know, because not all of the branches would be, you know, have snow on them. And you can do, like this one has a little bit more white, and that's fine. And I'm just going to go back over this one with a little bit of that green and white. You know, and it just gives a little bit more depth when you have multicolors like that. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of blue and a little bit of green together. I just saw a spot that didn't have... So I've got to get some new little brushes. So just something like that. It's kind of whimsical, Christmassy. You know, when I did this one a little bit wider, you can make them thinner. It's, you know, just have fun with them, guys. They're so fun to make. And then I'm going to let it dry. And then we're going to go around and we're going to add some glitter after. I'm just going to stick that over on the side. And let me get my broken brush here. I'm just going to toss this one because that's one from my class. Okay, so we can put this away now because I don't need it. So let's go with the bigger ball. So this one, I'm going to color the entire ball before I start making my scene on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle with like a darker blue. So I'm just mixing a little bit of black in with that. And you want to kind of keep your line somewhat straight, and this is hard on the round balls. That's why I said on the other one I think it would be easier if it's your first time doing it. So basically I'm just going to kind of go around and kind of get, and it doesn't have to be straight. It just, you want to kind of, you got to remember that you are painting on a round surface. So you don't want areas to look, you know, like it's going downhill unless you're actually going for that look. So now I'm going to pick up some white and I'm going to start going up into the top here, because this is going to be our sky. Now I did nothing to prep. I just made sure that my balls were clean before I started. And if when you're painting, your paint is lifting like the previous color, it's because you're using too much paint. Just let it dry and then you'll be able to continue on. And I try to go right up to the end, like right here, because you know, you don't want any clear balls showing. And then if you want to put some darker streaks through it, you know, you can totally do that. We're going to be putting some mountains in here. All right, so now we're going to pick up more of that blue and we're going to bring this down. And again, you can have higher spots, but just remember you're working on a round object. And now I have a little bit of green that I mixed in. That's totally fine. How I got that green on there is beyond, oh, it's right next to my blue, that's why. And then cover the whole ball. So that kind of gives us like some sort of a horizon line. We're going to be adding white, you know, to the bottom as well too. All right, so I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to go in with just a little bit of black. And we're going to start getting some mountains in. Now remember, these are going to be, you know, in the distance. So you want to keep them somewhat small. And I got a way too big of a brush here. Hang on. I'm going to try this liner brush and see if this will be any better. Nope. All right, when in doubt, always go to a filbert. A filbert brush will be your friend when you learn how to use it. So I'm just kind of making little kind of shapes, because you want to remember that mountains are not all the same height. And you can actually have mountains on one side of the ball and not on the other as well. It just kind of depends on, you know, what kind of scene that you're going for. And I charge $20 for my handmade balls that are all hand painted. They are sealed. I seal them after they're all dry. I have had balls outside that have been out there for like 4 years, and they still look like the day that I painted them. And I purposely did that because I wanted to see how they were going to withstand, the weather, but also withstand being put away, you know, in between the holiday season. So you can even customize these and put names on them. There's just so many things that you can do with these. Okay, so we have our first layer going around our ball with our mountains. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white, and it does have a little blue in it, and I'm totally okay with that. And we're just going to kind of put a little bit of snow on the tops of our mountains here. And then I'm just going to run this snowy little color or whatever right down at the base. And as it dries, if you think it's too dark, you can go in and put just a little bit more. Now this has a little bit of brown in it, and I'm okay with that. Okay. So let's see here. So you gotta look at your ball and figure out, okay, where do you want trees? Do you want a little cabin? Like right in here is going to be a good spot for a tree. So I'm going to pick up that really dark, actually I'm going to pick up that a darker blue. And now I'm just going to pick up some white. And I wanted more of a shadow under there. All right, so I'm gonna pick up some more of that darker, and we're just gonna Put another tree. And these dry really fairly quickly. So, you know, you can definitely work around without being afraid that, you know, you're going to have a mess. And you can always give it just a little bit of time to dry in between if you want. So that's why sometimes it's good working on a couple different balls at a time. And I'm just gonna put a little tree right here. And I'm gonna take this dark color to kind of give a shadow underneath. And then I'll just go right into the white. And I'm using just the very tip of this brush, guys. And it's almost like doing the pine cone effect. But these are little trees. Okay, so we have 3 there. Let's do another another tree here. And I'm just tapping. And when you do these trees, you want your center to be full, because if not, these type of trees, it's gonna look weird. All right, so I'm putting a little one there, and let's put one here. And this one I'm gonna bring down a little bit further. So it's on a different plane. And again, I'm gonna take that dark color and we're gonna put a shadow underneath this one. Not that one, because that one is back in between the mountains. So now I'm putting the white on the tip. And then we're just gonna okay. So now let's put in, we're gonna go with a little bit more blue right in here. And we're gonna make this like a watery area. And then I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of that white, and we're gonna kind of make it look like it's iced over. And let me see, I'm gonna take some of the green and I'm just going to kind of, and I'm just tapping here on the sides just to kind of, so we have like a little bit of brush or something going on down in here. And then again, we're going to pick up the white because this is a winter scene. And then we're just going to do something like that. Now, I'm going to let that section dry for a minute. I'm going to take this small round brush and we are going to pick up some brown, and I'm going to throw in a little cabin. So I'm just going to make like a triangle, and then make a little like rectangle underneath, or a square. And then I'm gonna do this all in brown right now. So I picked this spot because this is a little bit of a darker area, so when I put the smoke in my chimney, that's gonna show up much better. All right, so I'm gonna go with some blue, and I'm gonna do my roof in blue. Oh, and my brush was too wet. So I had too much water, so I'm just gonna tap that lightly. And then I'll go back in with some blue. And then we're gonna pick up some white. And we're gonna put some little bit of snow up on our roof here. And I'm gonna take just a little tiny bit of black, and we are gonna put a little chimney in, and then we're gonna pull a little bit down for a shadow. And then I'm just gonna kind of go underneath that blue, just to kind of give that a little bit of a division on our house here. I'm just gonna darken the house in. Okay, and then I'm gonna pull just a little bit of shadow in this. We're gonna kind of make like a little bit of a walkway right in here. All right, so now let's go in with some brown and some white at the same time. And we're gonna kind of put our boards to our house in. And then we can always just touch up the outs to make it a little bit squarer. Kind of go back underneath that roof line. And we're gonna put a little tree or something over here, so don't worry about that. And then I'm just gonna go in with some black, and we're just gonna put in like a door and a couple of windows. This is like way back far, so you're not really going to see much detail in this house. I do want this, oh, why? This brush is wanting to hold the water. Now I'm just gonna go back with a little bit of that blue and white, and we're gonna fix our little oopsie. And then I'm just gonna pull a little bit of that shadow. And I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of the plain white now. And just pull a little bit of white through that roof, just like that. And I'm gonna do some brown. And we're just gonna kind of make this like a little walkway. Making sure my brush is dry. And, all right, so let's go back to here. We're gonna put a little bridge over here. I'm just gonna use the black, and I'm going to make an arch. Right, like that. So when you're doing the ornaments, the biggest thing that you have to remember is not use too much paint on your brush. So I'm going to put the little sideboards here. A little railing. And then we're gonna go over the top. And then we're gonna kind of make this so it's like a kind of a walkway and some shadow underneath the bridge. So I'm just pulling in from the sides just to kind of give that little bit of a shadow. Just like that. Okay. And let's see. Let's do, I want to make sure I don't have too much. And we're going to put a lamp post right here. This is my type of landscaping. And then we're gonna give this a little round circle base. And wipe that. I'm going to take some red and some yellow, and I mean red and yellow, and we're gonna try to make up like a dark orange. My paint is already drying. like a reddish, yellowish, whatever. And we're just gonna put that on the inside a little bit. So I'm gonna wipe that. And I'm gonna pick up a little bit of yellow and white. And we're gonna put that in the center. And then we're gonna put a little bit of this color in this walkway because it would be reflecting, and probably a little tiny bit on the top of this railing and maybe the front. And just kind of like a shadowy on the bottom. All right, and then I'm gonna go back in with the black, just a little tiny bit. And we're gonna just put our little bars in. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of like snow on the top here. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm gonna put a little and a little bit on the bottom. So we have our little lantern. And I'm gonna just put in a little fence over here. I'm gonna use the brown. Smaller towards the house, larger and a little bit bigger as you get away from the house. And then we're gonna just put a line through. And again, I'm just gonna pick up a little tiny bit of white and just so like the top of the fence and the little end caps. Yeah. So now we can go back, we can use a filbert brush and, you know, we can add a little bit more snow. And there we have our little scene. So I'm gonna take this little liner brush and just trying to get the very tip, and we're gonna just gonna try to make some smoke. Coming out of that chimney. And then, I mean, if you want to put a few little stars in the sky, you can. And I know the video is getting long, but I want to show you that other ornament, because that one is an easier one to do. All right, so I'm gonna put one little sparkle there. And let's do one little twinkle star over here. And then just put a dot in the middle, and then we sign the bottom. Let me see, what am I gonna, I'm gonna sign it in the red. So with the ornaments, I sign my full name, just because there's no other place to really put it. So each ball will have a signature. The signature's not the greatest. But it is signed. So there is our ornament. So I'm gonna put this over here to dry, and we're gonna take this one, and then I'm gonna show you what I do for the glitter after. All right. Just wiping that down a little bit. So on this one, it's easier because you have one, a whole side to work on, and then you can do the other side. So with this one, we are going to, let me see here. What color do I want to use? All right, we're going to do the green. And I'm not going to fill this in like I did the other one. And you're going to see why here in a second. Okay. And I'm just going to go right back over with some white. Whoa. And we're gonna make it work, because that could happen. All right. So one has a little bit more snow. My paint is drying so quick. Okay. Now I'm gonna add some blue into this. So when you're doing something like this, you can, you know, turn your ball in different directions. And then I'm going to take my liner brush into the brown. Okay, now I'm just gonna go right in and I'm just gonna add a little bit of white. Okay. I'm going to take my smaller brush and I'm going to go into my darkest red. All right, I'm going to let this one dry a minute and we'll do the, just because I need to paint over a bunch of that and I don't want to screw it up. So, back to our first ball. That's all dried now. So I use the dishwasher safe Mod Podge when I do this. And let me grab a paper plate. Move that out of the way. And let's see, I'm going to use this brush. So you can put a little bit in your plate if you want. But what I do is I just kind of, and you don't want to overdo this, the glitter, because it will take away from the look. So I'm just going to put like a few little areas, and then I'm going to take the white glitter, and I don't usually have a big container that I'm using. I usually have a small one. I can't find it. And then you're just gonna slowly get those little areas that you put the Mod Podge on. And I'm gonna switch over to this brush. I think this one might be a little bit better. And you just basically, and you can actually even do like little bits on your pine cones, like this. But see how that gives a little bit of a sparkle now? I don't know if the light, if the camera's even showing it. Oh, but it just kind of brings it to life. And if you can hang on to your ball, it's even better. So I'm just gonna try to like do, and I'm not even like following the lines. I'm just kind of haphazardly putting like little bits here and there. And everything's drying so quick down here that I gotta move fairly quick because I want to get a bigger area done at a time. Yeah, this is one of the parts that when I do the paint classes, most people will like ruin a section because they don't realize how fast, you know, that glitter comes out. And if you put too much Mod Podge, you know, then it will stick too much there too. So it's you're better off to do a little bit at a time and add a little bit more than to put too much and you know, and then ruin your ball. So yeah, so if you guys, you know, you have paint and you want to try painting an ornament. I mean, these are cheap. They're on sale at Michael's. You can get them on Amazon. But they're really fun. They're things that you can do, you know, with the kids. And then make sure you wash your brush good after you've had it in the Mod Podge because it will harden and ruin your brush. And let's put some on this other pine cone. And I do it in the plate so that way I can pick it back up and reuse it. So there's this ball all done. And so what I would do is let this dry for about an hour and then I spray it with clear sealer. The 2 times clear, that's all I do. I give it a good coat of that and everything is locked in. So there's one ball done. Let me just set it on that so it doesn't go rolling. And on this one, what I do is, where's my brush? I do the tips of the trees. And certain colors show up better than others. See how that one really makes that tree stand out? But you don't want to put the Mod Podge all over the tree. You just, you know, you want it so it's like on the tips of the trees. You know, and sometimes if I make like little hills of snow, I'll put the glitter on that as well. See, that one went a little heavy, but it still looks like a tree in the distance, so you gotta be careful. There we go. And we could even put some on these little buggers here. Yeah. And there's our other finished ornament. Okay, so let me wash this. We'll move this out of the way, put the cover on this. All right, so this is dry now. So I'm gonna take my red and I am going to, we're gonna make like, kind of like an egg shape. Anybody know what I'm doing? What I'm gonna put on here? And then we are going to make another egg shape. And I'm gonna add some black into that red. It's not dark enough. Wipe my brush good. And I'm gonna go into the light red. I don't like my little branches, but that's fine. I just wanted to show you, so we're gonna put a little beak. just put a little bit of and we just not liking my so if you don't like the color or something, just let it dry and you just paint over it. And then we can have some of these kind of coming over the bird a little bit. Now I'm just going to go back in and we're going to pick up some of that white. And now we'll make some little okay, and I'm just going quick on this, guys, so, and now just add some more of the bright red, just so that his, that he stands out a little bit more. And he should have a mask around his face, but yeah, so you can even do something as simple as this. And if you wanted, while the paint's wet too, you could, and then we'll just kind of take it off, some of it off the bird. So he has, you know, a little something in him, but not a ton. But yeah, so you can do something as simple as that and then just put a bow and hang that. When the lights hit it, it's gorgeous, guys. So it's much easier to do a scene on, you know, something shaped like this because, you know, there's really not a whole lot to and then, you know, if you want, I'm just adding a few little branches, things in the back, just so that you know, it's not just an empty ornament. And then I'll just go right into the white and just kind of know, you could do that and just throw a few berries or, you know, a little pine cone or something on there. And I dropped it in the green. I don't want a green pine cone. So we'll just kind of add a little bit of black. So I want that to be a darker. And we'll put one here. And I'll just go right in with the white. Just like that. And you could and now just go in with the brighter red and put a dot on the top. Yeah. So now you have two sides to your ornament, but yet you didn't have a lot to do. So these guys, these are so fun. You can do so much with these. There we go. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. And then I just added a little bit of glitter and it looks like there's snow on there. So we have our two-sided. So you can have two different looks. You know, you could put a name or whatever. But yeah, they're so simple to do, guys. Alrighty, this is almost an hour and a half. I didn't mean it to be this long, guys. I apologize. But I did want to show you the different things you can do, the different sizes. You can paint over clear. You can fully cover it. It is totally up to you guys. So I will get some better pictures and put that on the end. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.